Why not release all of the footage and create a full point-by-point video narrative to back up the written version? Or is it that they don't match? Although CCTV data was released at several points over the last few years, the latest reluctantly in 2009 after a lengthy Freedom of Information battle, we will go through it in chronological order as quoted by the narrative so as not to confuse the public further. The narrative quotes surveillance footage first thing on their alleged journey, and that a light blue Nissan Micra was believed to be carrying Tanweer, Khan and Hussein. Tanweer is then shown filling up the car and buying snacks at the Woodall services station off the M1. The other alleged bombers have yet to be identified, but the narrative assumes they are in the vehicle. Why would they only believe that the bombers were in the vehicle if adequate evidence showed them to be so? Up until September 2005, the colour of the Micra was universally reported as being red. Then it changed to several shades of blue. One explanation was that there was confusion between the Micra and Jermaine Lindsay's alleged red Fiat Brava. However, further on, the narrative states that Lindsay's car was towed from Luton Station because it didn't have a ticket, and media reports claim it was held in a lockup for several days before being discovered, in which case no reporter or investigator immediately on site would have seen the car in order to confuse the colour. It wasn't there. The only car that was theoretically present was the Micra. So what colour was it? If a red Micra was implicated at the scene, it certainly wasn't the one Tanweer filled up with petrol. The next CCTV footage is at Luton Station car park at 5:07. The vehicle is unidentifiable, let alone the driver, but the official narrative claims this is Jermaine Lindsay in his red Fiat Brava. Unless there is more footage being concealed, it's hard to see how police are so sure that this is Lindsay. The narrative claims he gets out and walks around, enters the station, looks up at the departure board, comes out and moves the car a couple of times. Yet there is little video evidence to back this up. There is then footage of what appears to be Lindsay inside the station, presumably looking up at the departure board. But this is over an hour and a half since he allegedly arrived. What did he do in this time gap? It's also unsure why this footage is linked to the mystery car arriving at 5:07. Lindsay may have been in the station at some point, but there is no proof that that was him arriving. It could have been anybody. At 6:49, another car arrives at the station. The narrative claims that this is the three other bombers, but it is unsure if they still only believe that this is the three other bombers. Again, going by the footage, it is almost impossible to identify the vehicle or who is in it. From side view, does it even look like a Micra? Having studied the footage, it does appear that a Micra-shaped vehicle arrives at about 6:52, 5 minutes later, but this hasn't been shown by the media. The Sun newspaper, for example, only shows the 6:49 arrival. Are the narrative and the media mistaken? It's possible that the 6:49 car is Lindsay, but this has never been made clear, and video evidence is lacking. At 6:40, Lindsay is in the car park. His car is still visible at the edge of the picture. This is 9 minutes before the disputed vehicle arrives. Then, with just 3 minutes remaining, he again appears to be leaving his vehicle. The narrative says he moves his car several times, yet it remains in the same position throughout the sequence. Did he move it several times in 3 minutes? The narrative claimed that the 649 vehicle was the other bomber's and that it parked next to Lindsay. It certainly didn't park next to this car. With only 3 minutes remaining, Lindsay walking away from the car and no CCTV evidence, it also seems unlikely that it was Lindsay reparking at 649. If this is then the other bombers, which is more likely, they still don't seem to be parking next to Lindsay. There's no evidence that Lindsay even moved his car at all, or that it's him arriving at 5:07. Really, we can't be sure about much of the car park footage, but then it's not our job to be, it's the government's. The first image that was released to the public allegedly shows the 4 men entering the train station. It has rightfully caused a lot of controversy due to the poor quality and several unexplainable anomalies. To the layman, the only visible person is Hasib Hussein at the front on the left. The rest are clearly blurred, and none of them appear to be walking overtly as a group. Whether it's just pixelation or not, the figure closest to the rail appears to have part of it going through his face and left arm. And the Lindsay figure, who assumably got his rucksack and white bag from the other bombers, appears to have a decapitated leg. Remember Tanweer's white trousers? Where are they? The narrative has no explanation for this. Later on, the authorities did release a moving version, but they did themselves no favours by holding it back for so long. There is now also footage of the bombers inside the station and catching the train, but the time is not always clear because of blurring of other citizens, so we only have the government's word for it. This being said, the narrative still gets other things incorrect, like this random image reportedly showing Hussein inside the station, although it is cropped so that it doesn't show his surroundings, the other bombers or the timestamp. Police say it was taken at approximately 7:20, but this is before the first image shows them entering the station at 7:21:54. Why would he walk in and out? Even stranger is that the official narrative says they all entered at 7:15, which is before both of the images were taken. Closed circuit television is digitally set and usually synchronized throughout a building. There is no need for the police to work on approximates, which has only caused more confusion. With nobody being held accountable, they seem to have stitched together a loose theory as to what happened that morning. The bombers might have been in this car, and probably turned up at this time. This doesn't mean the authorities are lying about the gist of what happened that day, but going by the available evidence, the official narrative is full of inconsistencies.